AEEFWS. I think this is Agro Environmental Education Welfare and Farmer Welfare Society for Agriculture Professional, if I am not wrong. It's based in Punjab for organizing this 30 days Krishi Manthan. Krishi Manthan is a very broad term which includes the all aspects of the agriculture. The more important is how to transform this agriculture to make it a simpler, cheaper, and affordable to the ultimate stakeholder, that is the farmers. How many of you are the farmers here? अंग्रेजी समझने में कितनों को दिक्कत आएगी? यस मैडम, मैडम क्या मैं हिंदी में बात करूं? आपको अच्छा लगेगा?
हाँ सर, आप बात कर सकते हैं हिंदी में।
मुझे लगता है कि जिसको समझना चाहिए उसकी भाषा में बात होनी चाहिए।
हाँ सर
है
वही ठीक होगा सर।
हाँ, विकसित भारत 2047 के जब हम उस ओर चल पड़े हैं तो विकसित भारत के लिए लोकेश रेडी, आर यू कंफर्टेबल विद दिस हिंदी इफ आई स्पीक? लोकेश इज स्पीकिंग समथिंग।
सर आप हिंदी में ही बात कर सकते हैं सर।
ये सब लोग
सब
लोग समझने वाले हैं ना, मैं मिक्स करूंगा है। सो आई एम डायरेक्टली कमिंग टू, मैं अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन पे आऊंगा। एंड जो मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन है, जैसा मैडम ने कहा कि ड्यू टू मी ऐसा हुआ, ड्यू टू मी ऐसा हुआ, ड्यू टू मी से कभी नहीं होता। ये हम और हमारी टीम ने जो यहाँ पे इनिशिएटिव लिया था और जिसके कुछ बेहतर परिणाम आए हैं, व्हाट वी डिड इन हिमाचल प्रदेश विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ आवर स्ट्रॉन्ग टीम एंड द फार्मर्स, हमने ज्वाइंटली जो काम किया उसके मैं कुछ रिजल्ट्स आपके सामने रखूंगा। एंड दीज रिजल्ट्स विल शो कि द हाउ द नेचुरल फार्मिंग विच इज ए स्ट्रॉन्ग शिफ्ट from the conventional agriculture practices to a new kind of the practice, how it's now a brand in agriculture, it's now a brand in the consumers, ये consumer में भी brand बन रहा है। And when this is the brand in consumers, why it can't be a successful brand entrepreneurship for the youngsters? तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब कंज्यूमर की ये डिमांड बन रही है तो हमारे यंगस्टर के लिए ये सबसे बड़ा ब्रांड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप बनने वाला है। मैं शिफ्ट कर रहा हूं प्रेजेंटेशन में।
एडवांस बेसिक इसमें ऑप्शन डिफरेंट है। टेक्स्ट ऑप्शन शेयर इंडेक्स ऑप्शन जहाँ फाइल
डेस्कटॉप ये एक लोग
ये नहीं शेयर हो रही है।
पूरे उस पे लो स्क्रीन पे। इस पे नहीं आएगा। हाँ, आप मेरी स्लाइड देख पा रहे हैं?
हाँ सर।
ओके, सॉरी फॉर डिले। हाँ, मैं यहां से शुरू करूंगा कि अभी पूरी दुनिया में हमारे देश की एक कमिटमेंट है, हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की ओर से पूरी दुनिया को कुछ कमिटमेंट दी गई हैं, जिनको हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल के रूप में भी देखते हैं, कि जो हमारा ग्लोबल एग्रीकल्चर एक्सपोर्ट है उसको 7% तक ले जाना है, जो अभी तक 2.1% है। भारत को हमें ऑर्गेनिक और नेचुरल फूड जो है, जिसमें मिलेट बास्केट भी है, इसमें अपनी पोजीशन बनानी है। ऑयल सीड पल्सेस में हमें सेल्फ डिपेंडेंट बनना है, और फूड की सिक्योरिटी इन टर्म्स ऑफ द वॉल्यूम और न्यूट्रिशन, इसमें अवेलेबिलिटी, अफोर्डेबिलिटी, अवेयरनेस और पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क, इस पे काम करने की जरूरत है। देश भर में फूड अवेलेबल है, बट न्यूट्रिशनल फूड हमें कितना है मिल रहा है? इसे डाइवर्सिफाइड फूड बास्केट, ऐसा खाना जो सुबह से शाम तक हम लोगों को मेंटली एंड फिजिकली हेल्दी रखे। प्लांट, एनिमल और ह्यूमन, इन तीनों की एक हेल्थ, सबकी हेल्थ देखनी पड़ेगी। और एक बहुत बड़ा विषय जो देश भर में है कि जो किसान उगाता है उसको उसका पैसा नहीं मिलता, इसलिए एंड टू एंड ट्रेसेबिलिटी और ट्रांसपेरेंसी के साथ पूरी फूड चेन को समझना पड़ेगा। किसान के घर से जब खाना निकल, किसान की खेत से जब हमारा फूड निकलता है और खाने वाले की प्लेट तक जाता है, तो कौन कौन उसमें एक्टर काम करते हैं, उसमें क्या किसान को लास्ट में कितना मिला, कितना बाजार में बिका, ये ट्रांसपेरेंसी है कि नहीं है, और खाने वाले को मेरा खाना कहाँ से आया, क्या ट्रेसेबिलिटी है कि नहीं है। और जो अगले बड़े चैलेंजेस हम सबके सामने हैं कि आने वाले टाइम में ऐसी खेती जिसमें 20% पानी हम कम करें खपत उसकी, और 20% भूमि को रीजनरेट करें। हम सबके ध्यान में होगा कि 33% जो हमारी लैंड है वो भारत की डिग्रेडेड घोषित हो चुकी है। और दूसरा, क्लाइमेट चेंज की हम सब बात करते हैं, पर क्लाइमेट चेंज पे कौन से हमारे एग्रीकल्चर में एफर्ट्स हैं जिसमें हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम क्लाइमेट चेंज इसको जो इसकी दिशा है, दशा, इसको कम करें। तो मीथेन सबसे बड़ा सोर्स है जो नाइट्रोजन के एमिशन से आता है। जितने नाइट्रोजन से फर्टिलाइजर्स हैं हम जमीन में अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, इससे सबसे बड़ी मीथेन आ रही है। हमारी नाइट्रोस ऑक्साइड, ये फर्टिलाइजर से ही निकलता, जैसे मैंने कहा। हमारा टोटल एमिशन कितना होने वाला है, पेस्टिसाइड कंजम्पशन हमारी दिन प्रतिदिन बढ़ रही है, फर्टिलाइजर कंजम्पशन बढ़ रही है, और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट मैं आपको इस रूप में बताना चाहूंगा कि भारत सरकार में 21-22 में 79,530, 79,05,030 का बजट का सब्सिडी का प्रोविजन रखा था, पर देना कितना पड़ा? 1,62,000, यानी दोगुना। और बाद में ये 2,25,000 2022-23 में गया, यानी 3 गुना बजट हमारा सब्सिडी में जा रहा है, जो हम किसानों के नाम से है। जाता किसको है? मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी को, जो हमें फर्टिलाइजर्स प्रोवाइड करवाती है। परंतु जब ये हालत सरकार ने देखी, व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट सा दिस क्रिटिकल सिचुएशन इन द कंट्री, दैट ईयर आफ्टर ईयर दिस सब्सिडी इज एस्केलेटिंग, तो 23-24 में उन्होंने 50,000 करोड़ के बजट को कम करने का प्रयास किया, और इस साल ईयर मार्क किया 1,75,000 रुपए। यानी सरकार के ध्यान में है कि कुछ ना कुछ हमें अल्टरनेटिव फार्मिंग सिस्टम को अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा, जिसमें ये हमारे एग्रोकेमिकल्स हैं ये कम हो। और सिर्फ एग्रोकेमिकल कम होने के लिए क्लाइमेट चेंज पे हम बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम फार्मर का जो खर्चा है, जो उसकी कॉस्ट है, विच ही इज अनकरिंग टू ग्रो द क्रॉप्स, वो उसका खर्चा कम हो रहा है। आगे आप देखेंगे जितना हम एग्रोकेमिकल प्रयोग कर रहे हैं, हमारा जो रिलेटिव प्रोडक्टिविटी है वो कम हो रही है, या स्टेगनेट हो गई या कम हो रही है। अमेरिका ने तो 1962 में वार्निंग करना शुरू कर दिया था, तो भारत में हम बहुत देर से समझे। भारत वाटर स्ट्रेस्ड कंट्री है, पूरे देश भर की 25 से 28-30% हमारी इरिगेटेड एरिया, बाकी रेनफेड है। 89% एग्रीकल्चर, जो हमारा अवेलेबल ग्राउंड वाटर है उसका 89% हम कृषि में प्रयोग कर रहे हैं। इसलिए 2019 का जो इकोनॉमिक सर्वे है वो ये कहता है कि लैंड प्रोडक्टिविटी, जो हमारा हर रिसर्च एक्सपेरिमेंट का फोकस है, वहां से फोकस हटा के वाटर प्रोडक्टिविटी पे ध्यान देना पड़ेगा कि कितना कम पानी के प्रयोग से हम अपनी प्रोडक्टिविटी को स्टेबल करें। और दूसरा जो इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट आया, फार्मिंग सिस्टम की सस्टेनेबिलिटी। जो हमारे फार्मिंग सिस्टम है, चाहे हम फ्रूट्स पे काम कर रहे हैं, चाहे वेजिटेबल पे है, सीरियल पे है, वो सस्टेन कैसे करें, ईयर एंड आफ्टर ईयर उसकी सस्टेनेबिलिटी को मेंटेन कैसे करें, और अल्टरनेटिव फार्मिंग सिस्टम और इको फ्रेंडली प्रैक्टिसेस कौन सी हो सकती हैं ताकि फार्मिंग सिस्टम्स हमारे सस्टेनेबल बने। मैं छोटा सा एग्जांपल हिमाचल प्रदेश का बताता हूँ। वी आर अमंग द top ranked country in the state in terms of the average farmer income, in terms of the production productivity, in terms of the high value cash crops, ये सब हमारे पास है। बट जब सब कुछ हमारे पास है, हमारी रूरल पॉपुलेशन भी 90% है, 70% जो डायरेक्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट है दैट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम एग्रीकल्चर एंड हॉर्टिकल्चर, बट यू सी एट दिस कॉलम कि हमारा 20% जो फूड कमोडिटीज खेत से निकल रही हैं, those samples carry pesticide residue। हालांकि वो जो पेस्टिसाइड रेजिड्यू है वो 3% से कम है जो मैक्सिमम रेजिड्यू लिमिट से है, बट फिर भी ट्रेसेस 20% फूड कमोडिटीज में मिल रहे हैं। फर्टिलाइजर का यूज यहां बढ़ा है। एप्पल जैसी इंपॉर्टेंट क्रॉप which provides up to 5,000 crores of the revenue to the state, वो 8 से 12 पेस्टिसाइड स्प्रे हम यूज कर रहे हैं। These are the cash crops which we grow in the main season and off season. The farmer apply up to 8 sprays. And more interestingly, pomegranate, which is again the very important crop of the state, it grows in 3-4 main districts. The farmers, they used to spray 16 times in a cropping season. This is not creating the havoc with the environment. This is not only providing the contaminated, the pesticide residue laced fruits to the consumer, but this is adding to the cost of the farmer. This is a big reason that the difference between the farmer income is now coming down and down year and after year. Now here, see, one very interesting point I am going to present over here is, yes, as I said that Himachal is a bit better state in if we compare it with the rest of the country in terms of the farmers' income, in terms of the farmers' competency, in terms of the land holding. Here no farmer is landless. This is very interesting. Himachal Pradesh में कोई landless नहीं है, but more than 80% of the farmers, they reported different kind of the diseases. Irritation होती है, बुखार आता है, शरीर थकता है, स्किन एलर्जी है, हेडेक होता है, वॉमिट होता है पेस्टिसाइड एप्लीकेशन के बाद। ये 80% से ज्यादा फार्मर की रिपोर्ट है। 90% से ज्यादा किसानों ने ये कहा कि जो हमारे नेचुरल एनिमीज हैं और हनी बीज वो कम हो गए। और very painfully, I'm explaining that Himachal Pradesh is contributing 1% higher pesticide residue in different fruits, vegetables than the country's average. और निचले डेटा में आप देखेंगे कि in spite of having the land, सबके पास लैंड है, घर है, a good house, each resident of Himachal Pradesh, they have the food thrice a day. But despite that, you look at this data, the 2020 family health survey says कि चिल्ड्रन, बच्चे जो 5 साल से ज्यादा उम्र के हैं वो ग्रोथ में स्टंटेड हैं। 5 साल से छोटे उनमें माल न्यूट्रिशन है। ऑल वोमेन जो 15 से 49 साल की उम्र में है वो अनेमिक हैं। मेन एज बिटवीन 15 एंड 49 ईयर्स आर अगेन अनेमिक। तो यहां देखिए कि 15-16 के बाद ये डेटा बड़ा है। सो देयर इज इंक्रीज इन दिस डेफिशिएंसीज। सो दिस इज अलार्मिंग फॉर ईच वन ऑफ अस। तो but my purpose to demonstrate all this data is it's not to create some kind of the warning or breaking, giving the some breaking data, but to show ki the present conventional system is now not supporting us in terms of our health, in terms of the soil productivity, in terms of the water consumption, and in terms of the overall sustainability of the farmers. अब कारण क्या है? ये कुछ कारण मैंने आपके सामने रखे हैं। जो हमारी भारत की फसलें थी, जो हमारी ट्रेडिशनल फसलें थी, we have lost all those crops. We have lost the practice to grow those crops. आप देखिए बार्ले 55% कम हो गया, रागी 86% कम हो गई, मिलेट्स 90% हम ग्रो करना कम हो गए, पल्सेस 61%. But the crops which we say that these are the cash crops, high value crops like apple, हमने 855% ज्यादा ग्रो करना शुरू कर दिया. ओवरऑल फ्रूट्स 1243%, vegetable 365%. So this shift is ultimately the cause of the concern. So then, considering these all facts, natural farming हिमाचल प्रदेश सरकार ने 2018 में शुरू किया और बेसिक जो प्रिंसिपल लिया, मुझे लगता है कि सुभाष पालेकर जी का नाम सब लोग जानते होंगे. He was later rewarded with the Padma Shri by the government of India for his rarest contribution to the field of agriculture. और भारत हिमाचल में फॉर्चुनेटली उसमें के गवर्नर आचार्य देवव्रत, he took it as a mission to cut the dependency of the farmers from the external market. कि फार्मर को एक्सटर्नल मार्केट जो उनका मैक्सिमम उनके जो प्रॉफिट है उसको ड्रेन आउट करती है, उससे उसको हटाना है. तो ये 2018 से ये नेचुरल फार्मिंग का प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किया था. ये इसके प्रिंसिपल्स हैं: बीजामृत, जीवामृत, आच्छादन, वापसा. कैसे छोटे छोटे इनपुट से विच वी क्रिएट ऑन आवर ओन फार्म, विच डोंट बाय फ्रॉम द एक्सटर्नल मार्केट, दे आर द नॉन एग्रोकेमिकल बेस्ड इनपुट्स. हाउ वी एनहांस द germination potential of the seed, how we increase the soil fertility through the locally prepared input, this decoction. Achhadan, this is another practice where we cover all soil surface with live or crop residue. Vapsa, where we create the situation in the soil where there is a 50% moisture and 50% water. ये कुछ conditions हैं जो नेचुरल फार्मिंग में हम फॉलो करते हैं. कुछ और इसके सब प्रिंसिपल्स हैं कि इंडिजिनस काउ, एनी काउ विच इज इंडिजिनस इन नेचर, its urine and dung, it carries many fold positive bacteria microbes than the crossbreds. इसे इसका गोबर और इसका गोमूत्र प्रयोग करना है. Then crop protection, because our most of the farmer profit is drained through the use of the pesticides in terms of the pesticide, insecticides, fungicides, herbicides. So here we prepare all decoction. हम जितने भी इसके अस्त्र बनाते हैं वो किसी भी घर के किसान के आसपास का जो पेड़ पौधा है वो उससे बनाएंगे. Then very important one sub component is कल्टीवेशन ऑफ वन डाइकॉट. एक दाल की फसल मेन क्रॉप में जरूर लगानी है. Dicot means any leguminous crop, because this is the biggest source of extraction of the atmospheric nitrogen and adding into the soil. जो दाल वाली फसलें हैं वो वातावरण से नाइट्रोजन को एक्सट्रैक्ट करती हैं और जमीन में डालती हैं और मेन क्रॉप को उपलब्ध करवाती हैं. देन प्रिपरेशन ऑफ ऑल डिकॉक्शन इन एंड अराउंड होम, जितने भी हमारा इनपुट लगती हैं खेती के लिए वो घर और गांव और उसके आसपास के पेड़ पौधों से ही बनानी है. And now you see, when we started this movement in Himachal Pradesh, so there was a strong negation, there was a strong contradiction. बहुत बड़ा एक चर्चा का विषय बना in political dispensation, in bureaucracy, in the scientific fraternity, कि we are taking back the farmers to 18th century, 7th century. हम किसान को 17वीं 18वीं शताब्दी में वापस ले जा रहे हैं, where we talk of the cow urine and dung. But my dear friends, we have mapped the principles of the natural farming with the principle of the agroecology, which was provided globally by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. यूनाइटेड नेशन ने 10 एग्रोइकोलॉजी के प्रिंसिपल दिए हैं, नेचुरल फार्मिंग उन सबको मैप करती है. These are the some of the studies undertaken in my institution. मेरे इंस्टीट्यूशन में जो जो स्टडीज की हैं, यहां पहली चीज देखेंगे कि हमने काम किया फार्मिंग सिस्टम्स पर, नॉट फार्मिंग. इट मींस देयर इज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग शिफ्ट फ्रॉम द मोनोकल्चर टू मल्टीक्रॉपिंग. So you can see the different combination like tomato plus French bean plus brinjal, cucumber plus French bean plus okra, capsicum plus French bean plus brinjal. Again, similar kind. So here see, in every combination, there is one dicot. Here French bean is dicot. Here pea is dicot. Here fenugreek is dicot. एक फसल दाल की लगानी है ताकि नाइट्रोजनस फर्टिलाइजर को आप उससे रिमूव करें. These are the models on my one of the research station of my university. Here you see how successfully we are growing high density apples. High density apple, as per the scientific definition and package of practices by the different institutions in India and abroad, this is the highest input intensive crop. आपको दिन में इसको लगातार फर्टिगेशन करनी है, लगातार इसको पेस्टिसाइड के स्प्रे करने हैं. बट हियर यू सी, हम लोगों ने इसको पूरा जमीन को ढका है, बीच में डाइकॉट फसल है, बीच में दूसरी शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन क्रॉप लगी है. नो पार्ट ऑफ द सॉइल इज केप्ट ओपन फॉर द एटमॉस्फेयर. हियर यू सी, दीज आर सक्सेसफुल कल्टीवेशन ऑफ द एप्पल क्रॉप. यहां आप देखिए yield और cost comparison क्या है. There is a strong discussion in the country that yes, if we transform the farmer into the natural farming system, he will have to lose the yield कम होगी. बट यहां आप देखें कि नेचुरल फार्मिंग में फर्स्ट ईयर में मोनोकल्चर में कैबेज में yield बढ़ी, क्रॉप इक्विवेलेंट yield घटी, बट ओवरऑल जो परसेंट चेंज इन कॉस्ट ऑफ कल्टीवेशन है वो 61% नेचुरल फार्मिंग में कम हुआ. कॉस्ट ऑफ कल्टीवेशन 62% पी स्पाइनेच फेनुग्रेक में कम हुआ, 62% ब्रोकोली फेनुग्रुप स्पाइनेच में कम हुआ. तो धीरे धीरे ये डेटा भी उन कंडीशन में लिया गया है व्हेन फार्मर इज नॉट अप्लाइंग ऑल प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ द नेचुरल फार्मिंग. देन ग्रॉस नेट रिटर्न्स, आप यहां देखिए कंपैरिजन. कन्वेंशनल फार्मिंग में ग्रॉस रिटर्न्स हैं 10.3 lakh rupees per hectare. Here this is 9.8. Here it is 15.5. Here it is 15.5, and here in case of this is 7.1. So in all cases there is a swift change in the percent in the change in the net returns of the farmers. तो मेरा पर्पस सारा ये दिखाने का क्या था कि when we minimize the farmer dependency on the external market input, वो अपना खर्चा घटाता है, वो खर्चा उसके प्रॉफिट में ऐड होता है। तो अभी माई यूनिवर्सिटी इज वर्किंग इज लीडिंग द कंट्री, इट हैज बिकम द रिसोर्स सेंटर फॉर नेचुरल फार्मिंग। My university is the main source for scientific data for Niti Aayog, for FAO, for GIZ Germany, INRI France, ICR, different ministries. We have trained around 126 farmers across the country on natural farming conditions. Recently we have हमने 2 इंटरनेशनल कोर्स अभी कर दिए 14 कंट्रीज के लोगों को। मास ओपन ऑनलाइन कोर्स एक जो मैनेज हैदराबाद ने शुरू किया है, मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी उसमें कंट्रीब्यूट कर रही है। और अभी जो नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आई है, जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, उसमें बाटिका वन जो 3 साल का बच्चा है वहां से लेकर पीएचडी तक प्राकृतिक खेती के पे हमने कोर्स करिकुलम डेवलप कर लिया है। हिमाचल प्रदेश की हर ग्राम पंचायत में 99% ग्राम पंचायत में काम शुरू हो गया है। लगभग 20,000 हेक्टेयर एरिया पे हम कवर कर चुके हैं। ये कुछ फार्मर्स के मॉडल्स हैं, जो प्रोफेशनल मॉडल्स हैं। हाँ, नाउ यू सी द इम्पैक्ट। ये थर्ड पार्टी इवैल्यूएशन है। हियर द इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट सेज कि इंटरक्रॉपिंग इज मोर advantageous than monocropping. 76% farmers have revealed. Decline in pest attack and disease incidency, 75% farmer ने कहा। It means when there is a decline in pest attack and disease incidence, so farmer is more confident than the conventional farming. Reduce soil erosion, 88% farmer की ये वर्जन है। Increase land productivity, it means this is a regenerative agriculture. Crop after crop, we are providing the better land to the next crop, better water retention of soil, 87% फार्मर ने कहा। तो जो मैंने इंटरनेशनल कमिटमेंट की बात की कि कैसे हम 10% या 20% पानी की खपत को कम करेंगे, कैसे हम लैंड को रीजनरेट करेंगे, देन इंक्रीज इन पॉलिनेटर पॉपुलेशन, हमारा हनी भी खत्म हो गया, हमारा प्राकृतिक जो कीड़े थे जो कीड़ों को खाते थे वो खत्म हो गए। Then natural farm inputs are better than chemical fertilizer and pesticides, 74% फार्मर का वर्जन है। केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर कम हुआ, एक्सपेंडिचर ऑन केमिकल ये कम हुआ। नेचुरल फार्मर धीरे धीरे अपनी लैंड को बढ़ा रहा है बेस्ड ऑन द एक्सपीरियंस। आप देखें यहाँ फोटो में, पिक्चर्स में कि कैसे क्रॉप मल्टीप्लिकेशन है, इंटेंसिव क्रॉपिंग है। दिस इज द नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एंड बेनिफिट कॉस्ट रेशियो। तो डिफरेंट क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन में आप देखें बीसीआर इज बेटर इन केस ऑफ नेचुरल फार्मिंग, जो आपका बेनिफिट कॉस्ट रेशियो देन इन केस ऑफ द कन्वेंशनल फार्मिंग। अगेन रिस्पॉन्स 95% ने कहा कि केमिकल फ्री प्रोड्यूस वो दे रहा है, बेटर है। मिनिमल इनपुट कॉस्ट 93% फार्मर ने कहा। एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली फार्मिंग है, 96% फार्मर का वर्जन है। डाइवर्सिफाइड फार्मिंग है, 88% फार्मर सेज। देन चेंज इन कंज्यूमर प्रेफरेंस टुवर्ड्स सेफ फूड, कंज्यूमर की प्रेफरेंस आज सेफ फूड के लिए बढ़ रही है। सो दिस इज द एरिया where our youth should mark it and should extract it as the most important activity to adopt as an entrepreneur. ये डिमांड बढ़ रही है, but who will grow? Who will grow it scientifically? Then better productivity of the crops, 90% farmers says. Market price volatility, 36% farmers says yes, they have the better price. So these are the different kind of the perceptions which the farmers have revealed. So now what are the challenges? The first challenge is generally agriculture practices में हम क्या करते हैं, यूनिवर्सिटी से पैकेज ऑफ प्रैक्टिस मिलता है and we recommend you work on this package of practices to have the better crop, which is now a challenging term. ऐसा हो नहीं रहा है कि जो हमें एनपीके की रिकमेंडेशन आती है, पेस्टिसाइड की रिकमेंडेशन आती है, हमारी उससे यील्ड बेटर आ रही है। ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है, हर साल नया पेस्ट आ रहा है, नई डिजीज आ रही है, फिर नया केमिकल आ रहा है, फिर हम उस केमिकल की डोज बढ़ाते हैं, नेक्स्ट ईयर को उसमें रेजिस्टेंस आता है। तो एक ऐसा बीसीए साइकिल बन गया जहां मल्टीनेशनल्स ग्रो कर रही हैं, जहां पे उसके जो सप्लायर्स हैं वो ग्रो कर रहे हैं, और फार्मर धीरे 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 उसमें उसको खेती छोड़ता जा रहा है। और मेरी अपनी स्टेट में आई हैव सीन दैट इन द लास्ट 20 years 25% youngster they have left the state in search of small jobs in cities. So this is a knowledge intensive farm practice. It means we have to interact with the farmers, we have to start working with on the small piece of the land, and year and after year we grow with the knowledge we gain from the our practices. Then understanding of all tenets of Subhash Palekar natural farming. It means it's not like the chemical farming that we just pick up any package of practice and apply on the farm. यहाँ हमें नेचुरल फार्मिंग के जितने प्रिंसिपल हैं उनको इकट्ठे अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा। यहाँ 2+2 जो 4 होता है वो नहीं होता। Here one application of one principle triggers another. मतलब 2 + 2 6 और 8 बनेंगे, और 6 और 8 में जब एक और प्रिंसिपल ऐड होगा तो 24 बनेंगे। तो जब सब प्रिंसिपल को हम अप्लाई करेंगे तो बेसिकली दिस इज द कल्टीवेशन ऑफ द माइक्रोब्स। हम सॉइल सिस्टम को रीजनरेट करते हैं, सॉइल सिस्टम को रीजनरेट करके डाइवर्सिटी बढ़ाते हैं। क्रॉप एक ही एरिया में हम मल्टीपल फसल लगाते हैं, मल्टीपल फसल लगा के एक इंसेक्ट्स को दूसरी क्रॉप के साथ उसका नेचुरल बैरियर क्रिएट करते हैं, एग्रोकेमिकल को हटा के नेचुरल एनिमीज को बढ़ाते हैं, और बीच में जब थोड़ा पेस्ट आता है तो अपनी डिकॉक्शन से, अपने अस्त्रों से उस कीड़े को भगाते हैं। देन स्ट्रक्चर ट्रेनिंग, हियर वी अप्लाई द स्ट्रक्चर ट्रेनिंग फॉर 14 to 16 hours. देन मॉडल एज रिसोर्स सेंटर, इसमें हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि मॉडल क्रिएट करते हैं फार्मर फील्ड से, बिकॉज वी बिलीव ऑन द प्रिंसिपल दैट सीइंग इज बिलीविंग। जब किसान मॉडल खड़ा करता है तो वी ट्राई टू मिनिमाइज द गैप बिटवीन द प्रीचिंग एंड द प्रैक्टिस। जो मैं आपको आज भाषण कर रहा हूं, जो मैं आपको आज लेक्चर डिलीवर कर रहा हूं, ये वेदर हाउ इट वर्क्स ऑन द फार्म, वेदर इट एक्चुअली इज वर्किंग ऑन द फार्म और नॉट. So we try to create the model on the farmer field so that that model then acts as a resource center for others training. Farmer commitment, this is very important. किसान जब अपने खेत में लगातार काम करता है, because this is more successful on farming, on family farming. जब एक किसान लगातार अपने खेत में काम करता है, he understand the language of the leaves also. मेरा पत्ता क्या चाहता है, what is the requirement of my plant. So it never works on the actual package of practices. So farmer की commitment कितनी अपने काम में है. Then this is the farmer centric approach. साइंटिस्ट जब तक किसान को सेंटर में डिस्कशन के प्लानिंग में नहीं रखेगा, दिस इज नॉट ए सक्सेसफुल. देन आउटस्केलिंग वर्सेस अपस्केलिंग. Every time we talk of upscaling, but here the most successful principle is you will get the farmer very sparsely located. एक फार्मर एक जगह मिलेगा, दूसरा उससे 10 किलोमीटर पे मिलेगा. जो पैशनेट फार्मर होगा वो शुरू करेगा, उसको उसके हैंड होल्डिंग करके उसके खेत पे अच्छा मॉडल खड़ा करके, देन व्हेन फार्मर he or she sees success on the farm, next year they try to enhance the area, upscale the area, and generation of empirical data. Yes, now the next step was कि जब फार्मर ने ग्रो कर दिया, how the consumer will believe कि this produce is actually from the natural farm. So हिमाचल में हमने एक सितारा नेचुरल फार्मिंग सर्टिफिकेशन सिस्टम डेवलप किया है, बिकॉज यू सी व्हाट हैपेंड इन ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग. वहां पर थर्ड पार्टी हमारी आती थी, वो इवोल्यूशन करती थी, फिर उसको कंटिगुअस एरिया चाहिए होता था. बट देन दे से इन हिल्स इट कैन नॉट हैपन कि ऊपर वाला छिड़काव कर रहा है, नीचे नहीं कर रहा है, तो नीचे वाला ऑर्गेनिक फार्मर नहीं बन सकता. फार्मर को 3 साल इंतजार करना पड़ेगा, विच रेयरली हैपन्स. So what we did is we created a software system where farmer uploads the data, verified by the peer farmers, and finally by the one of the government official, and he gets the certificate right in the first year. उसको पहले साल ही उसको रजिस्ट्रेशन करनी है, उसकी रजिस्ट्रेशन हो जाती थी 1 सितारा, 2 सितारा, 3 सितारा, मैं आगे बताऊंगा एक 2 स्लाइड्स में। देन हमने एक पूरा फूड सिस्टम क्रिएट करने का प्रयास किया। अभी कैसे किसान के खेत से प्रोड्यूस निकलते हो उसको ग्रुप में रखना, उसको क्लस्टर में करना और उसको फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर कंपनी में बनाना। अभी यूनिवर्सिटी 4 फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर कंपनी पे काम कर रही है, उन्हीं किसानों के जो नेचुरल फार्मिंग करते हैं, कैसे इसको ट्रांसपेरेंसी और ट्रेसेबिलिटी के साथ आगे बढ़ाना। देन क्रिएशन ऑफ द कैप्टिव आउटलेट फॉर नेचुरल फार्मिंग प्रोड्यूस। ये कैसे छोटा किसान उसको उसका सेलिंग जो ऑथेंटिक ट्रांसपेरेंट सेलिंग बने। ये छोटे छोटे बाजार जब बनना शुरू हुए, जब किसान ने लोकल ग्रो करना शुरू किया, तो उसको लगा कि मेरा प्रोड्यूस once in a week आता है, twice in a week आता है। then he tried to find out some suitable place near some highways, near some institutions। और इससे धीरे धीरे क्या हुआ कि मेरा किसान, जैसे मेरा डॉक्टर का एक कंसेप्ट था, मेरे किसान का कंसेप्ट बनना शुरू हुआ। so based on that experience, what we did here is we created these smart outlets where the farmer, they keep a smart iCard with the QR code where anybody can trace his background of the farm. So based on this traceability and this transparency, we can go for the any kind of the innovation. इस सितारा सिस्टम में हमने किया 1 स्टार अंतराल किसान जो जस्ट एंटर्ड द नेचुरल फार्मिंग सिस्टम इन कन्वर्जन, साधारण किसान farmer practicing natural farming and producing without agrochemicals but is dependent on XC2 inputs। वो ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट बाहर से खरीद रहा है परंतु एग्रोकेमिकल हटा दिया है। एंड थर्ड वन इज विशिष्ट किसान, फार्मर फुली प्रैक्टिसिंग एज पर द प्रोडक्शन टेनेंट्स ऑफ नेचुरल फार्मिंग। ये 3 सर्टिफिकेशन डेवलप किए। फार्मर हैज टू पे नथिंग टू गेट दिस सर्टिफिकेट। ये पूरा नेटवर्क फ्लो चार्ट है। तो जितने भी हमारे किसान यंग यूथ बैठा है, दे कैन फाइंड आउट द एंटरप्रेन्योरल एंट्री इन दिस सिस्टम। अभी का जो हमारा सिस्टम है, किसान है वो प्रोड्यूस करता है एंड देन ही गेट स्टैगर्ड। इसके बाद क्या करे, उसको कंपल्सरी उसको मार्केट में जाना पड़ता है, वो मंडी में यहां से सीधा उसको मंडी जाना पड़ता है। एंड व्हाटसोएवर मंडी इज पेइंग, he comes back with that price, because being the very less shelf life fruit and vegetable, he comes back with the price. But what we are doing here is, now my university is doing, which I have marked here, we have created the farmer interested groups, we have created 4 farmer producer companies. Now what we did is we tried to connect these farmer producer companies with the external markets, Then for the non marketable produce, we are trying to add value to it, and then we are encouraging the FPC to either sell it directly or putting it in storage after grading packaging. Now they are supplying it to the external market. But again, with the principle of the traceability and transparency, means the farmer should know what is paid at the last outlet and what went back to him. And another is the traceability. He should know where from his produce has come. So I'll show you. These are the some of the clippings from photographs from our initiative after creating the farmer producer companies. This is the Sitara system I have already explained to you. Here you can see this is the certificate. Here you see this is the QR code of the farmer. So yes, here it is written, know your farmer. So anybody can scan it out, where from this produce has come. and she is the 3-star farmer. Again here, the star with the farmer, the QR code. So now we are creating the course curriculum also. We have created it. NCERT is very shortly going to implement this as a one of the course, and then certificate course for 4 to 6 weeks. Then for 3 months certificate course. We have created the course for UG and PG degree programs. Here you see how our graduate students, they are working on the natural farming farms. So we are trying to create the entrepreneurship capability in these young students, that after the end of the degree, how they can be able to lay out a natural farm. So this is our vision. From awareness through various processes, how to double the farmer income. So here we are mapping 7 sustainable goal out of the 17. So we are also trying to map the national commitments which we have to the external world. So this is all from my side. But to conclude, I would say that as per the expectation of the course, that after the 30 days of the training, you will get the number of the ideas like IoT, like blockchain technology, AI, but where to apply? So unless you are acquainted with the farm conditions, जब तक आपको अपनी फार्मिंग पे कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं होगा, और जब तक आप अपनी फार्मिंग को उस फार्मिंग सिस्टम पे ट्रांसफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे जो आज की मार्केट ड्रिवन है, which is the demand of the consumer. So natural farming, natural products are the demand of the consumer. तो नेचुरल फार्मिंग में जितने भी आपने इश्यूज देखे, कैन यू स्टार्ट द लेबोरेटरी विच एनालाइज द सॉइल? कैन यू स्टार्ट द स्मॉल outlets where you develop your own local inputs which we apply, which we recommend in natural farming practice, and sell it to the others who cannot keep a cow? Can you link up yourself with the creation of the farmer producer companies? Can you be a trainer for the natural farming? Can you develop the skill for the packaging, grading packaging? Can you create the skill to help farmer in registering themselves for this Sitara systems certification system? Then going to the higher level, where the AI can play an important role in creating the sustainable food system for this natural farming based produce. So these are the number of the issues where we can just mark based on our skill that yes, this could be the possible area for my entrepreneurship, and certainly you will be taken differently than other professions. This is my expectation. Thank you very much. आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. और लास्ट में जो संत कबीर जी ने कहा है कि धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ होए, माली सिंचे 100 घड़ा, ऋतु आए फल होए. हम एक बार अपने आप को समझना पड़ेगा हाउ इट इज हैपनिंग. एंड I invite you all to visit my state so that I can connect you with our farmers, how they are doing it successfully without the interference of the external markets. This is happening here. ये सच है, ये हो सकता है, ये हम आपको हिमाचल में दिखाएंगे. धन्यवाद.
So thank you so much. I'm very small to tell it. It's very commendable work, sir. Actually, you have shown us even in higher altitude what many of the crops can be grown. Since we are from south, even though we have a lot of water, where the temperature is almost normal to whatever the conditions, but you have shown us even in the higher altitude how much the best without even the fertilizers what we can grow with such a very good extent. Thank you very much, sir. So before ending, so like if anyone is having any questions, especially
दर्शनी
actually
दर्शनी
सर कीड़े के बारे में स्पेशलाइज्ड है.
दर्शनी
अगर किसी के पास कोई क्वेश्चंस है आप पूछ सकते हैं.
Darshini, I'm sorry that I could not meet your expectation to speak in English so that our friends from the south, I think they must be uncomfortable with me, na?
No, sir. Actually, most of them who have joined us from who knows Hindi, no, so it would be better
Thank
for
you
them.
so much.
They have known most of it.
Thank you.
So if anyone is having any queries, you can
and
ask.
again, thank you very much for considering me here as a chief guest. But I'm not here in the capacity of chief guest. I am here as a co-sharer of the knowledge. आप लोगों से बहुत कुछ सीखने को है. जो आप यूथ यहाँ बैठा है, एक बार आप डिसाइड करिए आपको करना है. बहुत कुछ आपसे सीखने को है, because you have more innovation in your mind than us.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead. हाँ, किसी का कोई प्रश्न है, इफ एनीबॉडी हैज सम क्वेरी, मैं अभी ट्राई करूंगा शॉर्टेस्ट पीरियड में. हालांकि 6 बज चुके हैं, बट मैं शॉर्टेस्ट पीरियड में उसको ट्राई करूंगा. आप मेरा नंबर ले लें. यू कैन हैव माय ईमेल so that you can also connect me through mail and through my WhatsApp. किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो इसका मतलब या मैंने बहुत ज्यादा बोल दिया, हमें समझ नहीं आया, या इतना आसान बोला कि सब कुछ समझ आ गया. So I am confused here. No?
Okay.
Jivanti,
Thank you so
you are
much.
the dream achiever.
So, sir, have
Jivanti,
told especially about how organic farming could be done, how these pesticides affects our environment, and how it especially hazards to the human health. And this particular pesticides, what are the different alternative methods which can be done? And he have shown the live examples of how in Himachal Pradesh they have developed organic farming systems, how pesticides can be reduced and those pesticides can be used organically with different methods. Thank you very much, sir. I hope many of the farmers and students who have connected worldwide will be utilizing whatever the methods you have used, sir.
2-3 क्वेश्चंस हैं. व्हाट इज द बेस्ट इंटरक्रॉप्स विद जिंजर? देखिए, जिंजर में एक क्रॉप आप कोई भी बीच में ले सकते हैं. आप मटर लगाइए, कोई दाल ले लीजिए, कोई दाल लगा लीजिए बीच में, बिकॉज दीज आर द शॉर्ट रोटेशन क्रॉप्स. आपको जिंजर में 1 साल लगेगा लेने में, 1 साल से ज्यादा लगेगा. आप 2-3 क्रॉप्स दाल की ले लीजिए, कोई भी क्रॉप लगा लीजिए. Then next question is the course you have provided, how we can join it? हाँ, हमारी वेबसाइट है yspuniversity.ac.in. आप YS परमार यूनिवर्सिटी भी लिख लीजिए, उस पर हम एडवर्टाइजमेंट देते हैं. साल में 2 बार ये कोर्स करते हैं. एंड थर्ड इज कैन आई आस्क एनी क्वेश्चन सर? राजीव कुमार बेहरा. राजीव पूछे. फोर्थ क्वेश्चन है, इज सितारा certification system applicable only in HP or can be applied throughout India? Yes, very nice question. Still Sitara is applicable in Himachal Pradesh, but since I am the member of the national committee constituted by the Ministry of Agriculture, so we have presented this before the Niti Aayog. So hopefully how it can be pan India, we are working on it. Yes, one more question. Shall I answer quickly? Then Himani, what are disadvantages of high density apple? I am also from Una. Himani, कोई डिसएडवांटेज नहीं है. यूथ को जल्दी पैसा चाहिए तो जल्दी पैसा हाई डेंसिटी से आएगा, बट यू मस्ट बी वेरी अटेंटिव. यू मस्ट वर्क लाइक ए फार्मर विद हाई डेंसिटी एप्पल्स. बाकी से फायदा नुकसान नहीं. सर, व्हाट इंटरक्रॉपिंग consumes land and also affect the growth of main crop, how this में? हाँ, ये हमें पढ़ाया गया है, but now the new science says the more number of the diversity, the different kind of the seeds we grow at one point in time, the more bacteria will trigger. The more bacteria will trigger, they will facilitate the soil activities. सो भारत का जो सोचना है वो सहजीवन है. We believe in coexistence, not in isolation. So monoculture was not our culture. Intercropping is our culture, and nothing will affect the growth of other crop. अब करके देखिए. Still, we have the online courses, but if the we'll get a request from the participants, we'll try to manage these courses offline also. Which intercrop is best for maize? Oh, ड्यू टू फॉल आर्मी वर्म. फॉल आर्मी वर्म का इंटरक्रॉप के साथ कोई रिलेशन नहीं है, और फॉल आर्मी वर्म का भी हमारे पास बड़े अच्छे एग्जांपल्स हैं. एप्लीकेशन ऑफ द जीवामृत, इट प्रोटेक्ट्स द नेचुरल फार्मिंग फार्मर्स देन द कन्वेंशनल फार्मर्स. एंड आई कैन साइट यू बेस्ट एग्जांपल फ्रॉम द Unna district. Sir, this is international training program. Better to speak in English. Okay, sorry, that for that reason I have already conveyed I have regretted it, that I was told that most of from the that part who can understand English, Hindi. So that's why I switched over to Hindi. But I am sorry for it that I could not meet your requirement. Sorry for it. How to register for Sitara, Kirti? Kirti, just I am writing my number here. You can just connect me later on and I'll explain the whole process. Sir, please send the presentation slide in WhatsApp group. Yes, I'll do it. लिख लेना एक बार. सर, बिडिंग के लिए कोई टेक्निक है एक्सेप्ट केमिकल? हाँ, अगेन दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम जतिन. Jatin, FYM is the major source of the beads. When we apply the FYM, so what happens that we get the cow dung, we get the dung from the different animals, and whatsoever grasses they eat, it gets scarified in the body of the animal, and finally when it comes out through the dung, it has the highest germination potential. And there is a saying that 1 year seeding is 7 year breeding. It means if we throw the seed in 1 year, we'll take 7 years to remove those seeds. And under those conditions, when additional seed will not be added. So in that case, here in the natural farming, what we do not recommend the application of the FIM. We add the Ghan Jivamrita. That Ghan Jivamrit, we prepare it from the fresh dung. It is prepared within 4 to 5 or 6 days, depending upon the season. And finally, when we apply it, it removes all possibility of the adding the scarified seed in the soil. Secondly, जब हम बात करते हैं कि crop intensification की, it means we cover whole soil surface with the live mulch or dry mulch. जो intercrop भी हम लगा रहे हैं, that acts as a live mulch. We don't allow any part of the sun to reach to the soil surface. That is another reason it never allows the weed to grow. So it takes 2 to 3 years to completely remove the weeds. Sir, if we are doing large scale farming, let's suppose wheat, then how much we should control weeds without using? Yes, because we have to apply all principle of the natural farming. Don't think that you will immediately, don't try to shift immediately to the whole area into natural farming practice. First, start from the small piece of the land which you keep for your family. Next year, you'll grow with the knowledge you'll gain from your farming. So based on that, you go for the bigger area. By adopting natural farming, we will be able to feed. Oh yes. And don't think that all 140 crore, all farmers are going to accept it immediately. Don't think. Here in Himachal, I've been able to produce 42 million ton apple per hectare from the natural farming practices. So our focus is to transform 20% farmers in next 10 years. So don't fear about 140 crore people. No, it's no, it's is harmful for consumption for human because is treated pesticide. I could not understand Himani. Arfa Mariam, why can't we use organic fertilizer? Yes, we can use it. The purpose is because in India, if I talk of India, we have more than 70% the small holders. So maximum benefit of the farmer, it is being drained by the inputs which we buy from the outside. If any farmers who is doing on the large area, he can apply organic inputs. It's not bad here. It's not banned here. But for small holders, we do not recommend because the MNC has taken the control over the inputs, which we recommend under organic farming. Yes. What is the difference between organic and natural farming? Yes, Arfa, I think you were among those who are the most serious to listen me. There is no, in principle, scientifically, there is no difference. But to create this difference, what do we say? If the inputs are being prepared on farm without buying anything from the external market, this is natural farming. And rest is organic farming where we do not apply the agrochemicals. But if any farmer, he or she affords to buy it from the outside, no issue. Sir, any subsidy provided by government for natural farming? Saurabh, we are against this subsidy, and I personally, because when we say that we reduce the cost of cultivation to the minimum, then we ask the farmer to compete with the open market. Because what happens in organic farming, we recommend to the farmers to go for the organic farming and then with the confidence that he will get the premium price. But nowhere it happens. Nowhere it happens. So we recommend the farmers, yes, create the sustainable food system, create the local market, create your own consumers, reduce the cost of cultivation to minimum. That minimum cost of cultivation will be met out of the intercrops and create your main crop as a profit. So why do we need subsidy? I think the farmer should be very confident on his technology than having the subsidies. Then next is, sir, India's population is very high. Whether natural farming will ensure the food security of India? Yes, true. Our target is initially because all are not going to listen to you. So this is an optional methodology. If you are convinced, go with it. If not, then conventional system, agrochemical based system is already with us. Our focus is to transform 20% of the total population into the natural farming system within 10 years. Can we have a copy? Yes, I'll send it. Piyush, I'll send it. How to register for those courses? Yes, please try to look at our website of the university, YSP University, YS Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry. So you'll get the information from there. Sir, you said that farmers are focusing on fruits production more than crops like barley and century. So how can we promote indigenous crop production? Yes, because when we talk of the creating of the entrepreneurship in agriculture, so we have to look at the market demand driven issues. When whole globe is celebrating the International Year of the Millet, where is the production? I've shown that we have reduced in my state 90% of the area, only we have come down to 10% of the area. So if we want to meet the most of the millets to my state is coming from the Rajasthan. So can't we do it here? Then Motorola Moto, sir, kindly do share your contact number for the registration inquiry and also the website of the course you offer. Okay, this is my number. I'm sharing my personal email. This is my personal email, and third one is website. Yes. w.yspuniversity.ac.in. Okay. So I think that's all from your side. How to control weeds through natural farming? Yes, Himani, I have already explained that it takes a time. But since we have to understand the principles of the natural farming and how one action triggers the another. So when we understand, when we try to apply this principle on a small piece of land, so we'll grow with the experience, we'll grow with the challenges, with the success. And finally, when we try to stop application of the farmyard manure, this will help us. So thank you, Darshini. I think I have tried to answer quickly these queries.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for interacting with everyone, sir. Thank you so much for giving us so much of information, sir.
I'll send you my this presentation to you. How will you get? Shall I send it to you on your email, na? And Darshini?
Okay, sir.
This is just utkarsha.just agriculture, na?
Sir?
Where shall I send my this presentation?
Sir, we will let you know, sir. We will
Okay.
share a number and we will let
Okay.
you know.
I would be happy if
Yes, sir, yes. Thank you so much.
So thank you. So shall I say namaste?
Yes, sir.
Namaste to everybody. सबको शुभकामनाएं with good health and all prosperity in the times to come. Thank you. Namaste. And wish you a very successful program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So our next speaker would be Dr. Nitin Kumar Jagannath Ransur. So, sir is a chief scientist and associate director from Krishi Bhavan Zonal Agriculture Research Station. Sir has done his BSc, MSc, PhD in MPKV Rahuri. He has also expertised in all the HR management subjects and also many of the computer application programs. Sir has worked as junior scientist, associate professor, assistant professor, and also chief scientist and also associate director of research. Sir has more than 100 publications, and sir has written many publications on publications and books on soil chemistry, soil fertility, and as I said, sir has many more than 100 publications. He has also attended many international and national conferences, and he has also conducted many international and national conferences and also the many training programs. He has more than 12 publications in soil management practices, soil physics, and also polyhouse condition practices in case of dry land agriculture. Sir has been awarded more than award, and he has gained many awards and recognitions from more than 20 awards. Among them, he has got Best Professor Award, Krishi Ratna Dr. Panjabrao Deshmukh Preran Pushkar Award, Best Physics Professors of the Year, Best Academician Award, and also as Best Oral Presentation Award for his research paper, and also Best Oral Presentation Award for research paper, national and also international ones. Sir has done his research work mainly on the models of pertain to practice distribution of dominant soil orders of Maharashtra in his PhD. Sir has, as I said, sir has trained many of the students. He has guided many of the students of both MSc and PhD. Sir has elaborate biodata of his research work mainly on soil fertility, soil chemistry, nutrition of this particular soil. So those who doesn't know English, so उसके लिए सर ने मिट्टी के फर्टिलिटी और केमिस्ट्री के बारे में ज्यादा ही वर्क किया है, ज्यादा बुक्स लिखा है. आप उनसे सुन सकते हो. सर, ओवर टू यू सर.
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Okay, good evening to all of you. Thank you, Just Agriculture, for giving me this opportunity to share some of my views with the participants. Actually, I have worked for soil physics most of the time. I have guided many MSc PhD students, and my area of research is soil physics. So, what today I want to share with you, what is the relation between soil, water, and the plant? Okay. Shall I share my PowerPoint presentation? Because already
Yes,
we
sir.
are late. My lecture was scheduled at 6 o'clock. It is already 6:30. Okay.
Yes,
Shall I
sir.
share my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can share.
Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Now, this is just today's topic, soil, water, and plant relationship. So this is a very important factor as far as the growth of plant is concerned, productivity of the plant is concerned, and the yield is concerned. These are the three basic need. And what is the relationship between soil, water, and the plant for growth of the plant as well as to obtain the maximum yield? So we'll try to discuss regarding some of the basic concept regarding it, because those students who are not from the soil science, who are from the other disciplines, they might learn something regarding the relationship between soil, water, and the plant. Okay. So try to understand plant growth. It depends upon two important natural resources. One important resource is the soil, another is the water. Means soil, water, and plant go together hand in hand for the development. So we all know that the soil provides the mechanical support, the anchorage. And second important part is that it also act as a reservoir of the nutrients. So unless and until we have the support, the plant have the support and nutrient, the plant is not going to grow properly. As we know, we have already learned the criteria of the Arnold. We'll discuss regarding that later on. So this is regarding the soil. Soil supports, mechanical supports, and the nutrient reservoir, how the nutrients are available for the growth of the plant, that we'll discuss in chemistry section. But in this case, we'll have only general discussion. Next important part is the water. Water is essential for plant life process. We already know very well what is the role of the water in nutrient availability. Now, what is important in case of the soil, water, and the plant? It is essential for effective management. What effective management? That is the water, soil. These two resources are important, and unless and until we manage them effectively, I think all of you know what do you mean by the management. Management itself indicates that the efficient utilization of the resources. That is the definition of the management. We should not waste the resources. Whatever resources we have to use them efficiently, and that is called as the management. And effective management of the soil, water, and plant, it will give you better crop production. It will also help you in maintaining the fertility of the soil also. Is it clear to you? Now next, knowledge about available soil, water, and soil texture can influence the decision making process. What decision making process? How to irrigate the crop, when to irrigate the crop, how much quantity of water is required. These two factors are determined by the soil texture. What is the type of the soil? What is the texture of the soil? And available soil water. Now you know available soil water is that water that exists between field capacity and permanent wilting point. We'll come to that point later on. So whatever water is available in the soil and the texture of the soil, these two factors determine the decision process of the plant. Now, in this class, we are going to discuss regarding the general information of the characteristics of the soil and water interactions, how plant use water, particularly as this topic related to irrigated agriculture, because this topic is very vast. So we'll try to cover as much as many aspects in a simple way so that you will understand it. What is the relation between soil, water, and the plant? So this information is generally related to the, we can say, the irrigated agriculture, rainfed agriculture, as well as the production of the crop as well. Now, when we talk about the soil-water relationship, soil-water-plant relationship, why it is so important? We know we have to determine regarding the irrigation, soil types, management practices, scheduling irrigations. These all factors are dependent on the relationship. So we know when we want to irrigate the soil, when if you put the tensiometer in the soil and if it is coming for the 0.8 bar, we have to irrigate it. So criteria for scheduled irrigation, you might have learned it. Now, all these factors determine how much amount of the water is present in the soil and how much amount of water is required by the plant. That determine the nutrient availability. So scheduling irrigation determine how much water that needs to be added in the crop root zone to promote optimum yields. One climatic or evaporation based irrigation scheduling. So we must know how to irrigate, why to irrigate, and how much to irrigate, so that there should not be suffocation. There should be proper availability of the moisture, proper availability aeration also, so that the microbial population will not hamper, because microbial population, if it is disturbed, then it is not going to help in the transformation of the nutrients. So that important thing we must understand. What is the importance of these microbes? You might have learned it. Will not go into detail. At this juncture, you should know to maintain the relation between plant and the soil, water is playing very important role. We'll see the different terminology later on. Now, you see, these are the very basic concepts. We will not waste much more time. Physical characteristics that determine the availability of the nutrients. For example, texture, structure, density, and porosity. So these have the interaction between these factors, have the interaction between soil, water, and the air. We'll see so slowly how these factors determine the yield potential of the plant. Now, soil composition. We all know the soil is composed of the mineral matter, organic matter, and open space called the porosity. So by volume, most soils are roughly 50% solids and 50% pore space. This we all know very well. Then second, you also know this, the mineral matter makes up about the 45 to 47% of the total soil and other material. Organic matter, it comes from the decaying plant, and organic matter account for about 5% of the overall. But a very dangerous situation nowadays, because the organic matter of the most of the agriculture soil is less than 1%. So we have to improve the organic matter content of the soil. Next one we'll talk about. This is the figure that indicate what is the proportion for the nutrient availability for the good soil. For this is the ideal. Actually, this does not exist most of the time. It may change. One is the solid part, one is the pore space, organic material. This is the 5% organic material. Mineral matter is about 45%. Then 25% air, 25% water. This is the ideal phenomena, but it changes according to the type of the soil and from season to season also. If the season changes, this proportion of the water and moisture may or organic matter may also change. Now, the amount of the water and air present in the pore space varies over time. Just I have told you it. It is an inverse relationship. What it means that more water to be contained in the soil, there has to be less air. Means if a very simple example, if you take one pot and if you go to the river or you can go to the well, and if you want to fill up that pot, what happens? There is some sound comes. What that sound indicate? It indicates the removal of the air. So in the same way, if more water is added into the soil, then air will be lost. So the amount of water in the soil space, it determines the how much crop production we can get. So we have to maintain the porosity. 25% air should be there, 25% moisture should be there. If this ratio is disturbing, then it helps. What we can say, it is giving a problems in nutrient availability. Okay. We'll take question later on, or shall we take questions right now only? Okay, next one. So soil texture, the size of the particles, we know determine the texture of the soils. We can determine by various ways. It is made up of the, we can say, sand, silt, and the clay material. We'll shift this because this is only categorization. Will not go waste much more time in the categorization of the soil. So this is the, we can say, textural triangle that determine the texture of the soil. So These are the different texture: clay, clay loam, silt, and they depend upon how much amount of the sand, how much amount of the clay, and how much amount of the silt is present. By combination of these, the texture class is varying. So we'll have the procedure determining the texture. By it can determine by the international pipette method, or it can be determined by the Wyckoff hydrometer. Wyckoff hydrometer will only give you the we can say the qualitative data. It determines the sand, silt, and clay percent based on the density. While in case of the international pipette method, we can actually separate out the sand, silt, and the clay, and that value will fix into the texture triangle and will determine what is the texture of the soil. Now this is the we can say the position. Just one data is taken. For example, if the soil is sand, and if you determine by mass basis or by volume basis, we can say the bulk density is 1.70. It is not exactly that's 1.70. It may change sometimes. A field capacity in this case by mass on the percentage basis 7, wilting point is 3, and available water capacity is 3. Now on fraction basis or volume basis, it is 0.12, 0.05, and available water capacity 0.07. Now if you see the different types of the soil, you will find the different density, and you find the field capacity also vary. If you see, in case of the sand, the field capacity is 7, while in case of the clay, it is 28.8 on the basis of the mass. Wilting point, it is about 20.8. In case of the sandy soil, it is 3.0. Accordingly, different types of the soil will have the different field capacity, different density, and different available capacity. So same thing in case of the volume basis also. So soil structure. Soil structure is, we can say, it is a shape and arrangement of soil particles into aggregates. So it is an important characteristic used to classify soils and heavily influences agriculture productivity and other uses such as load bearing and the capacity of the structure. These are the basic factors. We can say we must know different types of the structure: prismatic, columnar, blocky, and angular. We'll see the figures also, how much how this give the water availability. This structure indicates the particle arrange themselves into aggregates. The aggregate soil type are generally the most desirable by the plant growth. So soil structure terms also used to conjunction descriptive words to indicate the class and the grade of the soil. What is the class and what is the grade of the soil? So class refers to the size of the aggregates. What is the size of the aggregates? And aggregate grade describes how strongly the aggregate hold together. So different grades are there. Will not go into detail. There is a structureless soils can either be single grain, that individual unattached particles such as sand dunes, or massive sand individual particles. A soil structure is unstable. Very important thing to remember, it is unstable and can change with the weather conditions. It can change with the biological activity, and it can change with the soil management practices also. So this structure, it influences the rate at which water and air enters into the soil and move through the soil. It supplies affect root penetrations and the nutrient supply of the soil. So you should understand what structure is playing important role. If the soil is a single grain, then we have the loose sand, water percolates very rapidly. In case of the water moves very slowly, if the soil is massive in soils, for example, clays. The more favorable water relations are usually in soil that have prismatic, blocky, and granular structure. Platy structure, for example, if exists, then it impedes the downward movement of the water. So unlike texture, structure of the soil can be changed to the depth of the soil. Excellent structure developed in the surface layer of the soils that is high in organic matter, and on which perennial grasses is growing. That's why what we are saying that we should go for the organic farming, or we should go for add the organic matter. So if you are going to add the organic matter or organic content, then the structure develop will be good, and it helps in the availability of the nutrients. So cycles of wetting and drying or freezing and thawing improve structure in the flow layers. So this is also an important part when there is a drying takes place, where the wetting takes place, the freezing takes place, or thawing takes place. This also improve the structure of the soils. So on the other hand, we can say the cultivation of medium or fine texture soils, when their moisture content high, tends to destroy the structure. So see, cultivation of medium or fine texture soils, when their moisture content is high, it tends to destroy the structure. So we should take care that the cultivation of the soil should have the optimum moisture. It should be at field capacity. Otherwise, if the moisture content is high, if you are going to cultivate this type of soil, if you are going to carry out the tillage operation in that of soils, then it will destroy the structure. Irrigation water that contains large amount of the sodium causes very undesirable structure by dispersing the soil aggregates. So we have to take the care that the soil should irrigation water that should not be salty, not having more amount of the sodium that can cause the dispersion. It will bring the flocculation process disturbs, and the sand, silt, and clay particle become separate, and it attacks the aggregations, and the soil will not become soil will not stay healthy for the nutrient availability as well as for the growth of the microbial population. Indirectly, it will changes in the production system. Now see, these are we can say some of the structures and their effect on a downward movement of the water. So single grain structure, if you see single grain structure, these are the three examples. It is a single grain structure, blocky structure, and the plate structure. Now see the movement. In this case, in case of the single grain, the movement is very rapid. Rapid movement of the water technique. Water will not store in this case. It will move, for example, sandy soils. Then is the block. If the structure is the blocky in nature, then there will be moderate. But if the structures is a platy, then the movement of water will be very, very slow. So these are some of the examples. Now see again a granular, prismatic, and massive. So again, in case of the granular, movement is rapid. In case of the prismatic, it is moderate. In case of the massive, it is slow in nature. Now, another important property that affect the water relation with the plants is the bulk density. So bulk density will not go into detail. All of you know the bulk density. Bulk density is a mass per unit volume, and it has the effect on the organic matter content. If the organic matter changes, the bulk density of the soil changes. And bulk density play a very important role. As we know, it is related with the compactions. So by addition of the organic matter, we can reduce the compaction, thereby reducing the bulk density of the soil. When a compact soil have low porosity, thus we have the greater bulk density. Again, if the soil is loose, then there will be greater block porosity and lower bulk density. Vice versa, compacted the soil, more will be the bulk density. For example, like soil structure, the soil bulk density and porosity can be affected by weather-related factors and biological activity and soil management practices. So if you are going to add the organic matter, more and more organic matter, definitely it is going to help in the increasing, lowering the bulk density, and it helps in improving the physical properties of the soil. Now this is the figure that indicates what happens after the day passes from the bulk density to the root length. Will not go into detail. This is the important topic now. Till now, what we have seen the basic concepts. What is the basic concept of the students, those who are from the soil science, they know very well, but the students that are not from the soil science, they should understand it. Now, we already said that the soil acts as the reservoirs. It holds water and nutrients plant needs to grow. So some soils are large reservoirs with more holding capacity that releases water and nutrient easily to plants, while other soils have limited resources. The following discussions will have regarding what happens in case of the water. So soil water content is the amount of water stored in the soil at a given time. So that is called as the soil water. How much amount of the water is present at that time is called as the water content. Now we say the most commonly defined soil water content values are saturation. The soil is saturated, means 100% the pores are filled with the water. No, there is no more air content. Filled capacity, wilting point, and the own rate. These are the phases, for example, most important characteristic, or most important, we can say the soil moisture constant. When own ride means there is no at all moisture, while saturation means 100% water is present. At saturation, which usually occur immediately after heavy rainfall. Just a moment. मी जर लेक्चर मध्ये जर थांबलो. So at saturation, we know saturation which usually occurs immediately after heavy rainfall or on irrigation application, or all pore spaces in soil are filled with the water. That is called as the saturation. When the soil is at or near saturation, some of the water it drains or percolated due to the, we can say, the force of the gravity, and this excess water is referred to as the gravitational water. When the excess of the water is removed, that is called as the gravitational water. Now this percolation takes time. Some of this extra water could be used by the plants, lost to evaporation. Another important part is that the field capacity. Field capacity is the amount of water remaining in the soil after rapid percolation is occurred. When the movement of the water ceases, that condition is called a field capacity. It is water held at the 1/3 bar. Now, we can say there is not a definite soil water point. Therefore, field capacity, once defined as approximately 1/3 atmospheric pressure or tension, we can say. Wilting is defined as the soil water content at which the potential or ability of the plant root to absorb water is balanced by the water potential of the soil. Now means when the wilting point occurs, that means the plant is not able to take the water, and permanent wilting point comes. We'll see that topic also. So we can see that the crop shows significant signs of the stress. For example, wilting at the extent of the dying. If the soil water reaches the wilting point, especially for the extended period of the time. So if the time is more and more and more, if you don't supply the water, then a plant will show the signs of the stress that we called as the wilting. Now, wilting is usually approximately 0.15 bars. Soils that have been oven-dried is used to reference point for determine the soil water content. So when we determine the moisture content of soil, we have to take the soil sample, moist soil sample, put into the oven, then oven weight, oven dry weight, moist weight will have the difference and will determine how much amount of the moisture that was content. That we call as the reference point. So when the soil is oven dried, all soil water has been removed from the soil. The amount of the water at any soil water content varies from soil type. So you should understand different types of the soils have the different water content. If you take the sandy soils and if it's the clay soil, you will find that the soil water content varies from soil to soil. Now water can be expressed in inches or sometimes the percentage. Typically the top layer of soil has slightly higher available water capacity. Now we can see the graphical presentation. Typical soil water content within soil texture. You can see the sandy, loam, and silty clay loam. You can see the water in soils. Different, we can say the different contents. If you see the silty clay loam, you will have high moisture saturation. If you have loam, then you will next to that, and sand has the less saturation. So accordingly, field capacity also changes, wilting point capacity also changes, and over drying capacity also changes due to the types of the soil. This is just a graphical representation. Now, this is very important concept as well as the soil water potential is considered. So total soil water potential is the amount of work required per unit quantity of the pure water. We are taking pure water as the basis to transport reversibly and isothermally a small quantity of water from a pool of pure water at a specified elevation at atmospheric pressure, the soil water at the point under consideration. Now means how much amount of the energy required to lift the water, or how much amount of energy required to lower the water from the reference state. That is called as the soil water potential. Now, a very important part is the differences in potential energy of water from one point in a soil system to another give rise to tendency of water to flow within the soil. Unless and until the energy is different, then and then only the movement of water will take place. Potential energy should be different. Movement also always takes place from the, as you all of you know, that the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So higher concentration, lower concentration means what? At one point, the potential energy is more. If you add the more water at one place, definitely that water is going to move into the soil at different place. Means there is a, we can say the energy status is changed. And this change in the energy status gives the movement of the water into the soil. In the water, in the soil, water moves continuously in the direction of decreasing potential energy. Means wherever there is a saturation, there is a, we can say the energy. When movement takes place from that saturation point to other point, then potential energy decreases. Now, see why we are talking this, because the concept of soil water potential have great fundamental importance. Now, earlier, what we are talking about the gravitational water, we are talking about the capillary water, we are talking about the hygroscopic water, and that we are using early development stage of the soil. But nowadays, we are not using these terms. We are using the terms energy concept, because water in the soil differs from place to place and from time to time, not in form, but in the potential energy. Means when we determine the moisture content at one place, and when we determine the moisture content at another place, then we have to determine the potential energy. You will find that at higher concentration potential energy is different, and at another where the water movement takes place, potential energy is lower one. That's what we are talking about. The moment of the we can say the takes place from higher concentration to lower concentration, means we are talking about the moment, means we are talking about the energy of the soil water. For practical purpose, we can say the use the concept of the we can field capacity and permanent wilting point. While recognize the qualitative aspect of the sub nomenclature. Qualitative means what? We are going to determine whether it is present or whether it is absent. But when we say the quantitative means actually we want to determine the content of that. This is the difference between quality. Qualitative means present or absent, or quantitative means how much amount of the actually that moisture is present. So total water potential is the sum of the we can say metric potential, solid potential, gravitational potential, and the pressure potential. So gravitational potential is the component that depends on the soil property, independent of the soil properties, and depends only on the vertical distance between the reference point and the point in the questions. From the above, we can say the reference gravitational potential is positive. Points below references are negative. If you take one standard line as a reference line, pure of we can say the pure water. If you are going to measure the gravitational potential, then above the reference it should be the positive. But if it goes below the reference line, then it is a negative one, minus. We always write the minus sign. Now, what is the metric potential? Metric potential is a dynamic soil property. Dynamic once it going on changes, and it will be at theoretical zero level for the saturated soil. If the soil is saturated, then metric potential will be zero. The metric potential of the soil system results from capillary and adsorptive forces due to the soil matrix. Two forces are attracting. One is the capillary. Capillary means we can say the two forces are there. Capillary means movement takes place from the lower side to the upper side due to temperature gradient. While adsorptive forces are there, that means two condension are acting on two parts of the soil. One is the capillary, another is adsorptive. These forces attract and bind water in the soil and lower its potential energy below that of the bulk water. So metric potential is related to the mostly with the solid part content. Then next one is the pressure potential. This pressure potential applies mostly to the saturated soils. In the field, this component is zero above and at the level of the water in the piezometer. Below the water level, it is always a positive in nature. Another potential that is important is the solid potential. Solute or osmotic potential arises because of the soluble materials. For example, salts in the soil solution in presence of a semi-permeable membrane. So if the semi-permeable membrane, we can say the osmotic potential is there. Osmotic potential means osmosis means what? The movement takes place from higher concentration to lower concentration in presence of the semi-permeable membrane. That potential is called as the solid potential. So it is occurs due to the salt content. So to recognize membrane in soil water system are the cell wall of the plant root and air water interfaces. These two act as the, so we can say semi-permeable membrane, cell wall of the plant root as well as the air water interface, and it will determine how much about the salt should be absorbed by the plant or removed from the plant body. Now we can say these are the illustrative examples, gravitational potentials, metric potential, and the pressure potentials. You can see figures A and B. So difference between these will give you the gravitational potential. If you see the metric potential, then between these 2 points, this one and this one will give you, sorry, this will give you the metric potential. See movement of the water and pressure potential in this way. So in this case, it is only 10 centimeter. In case of the metric potential, it is the 15 centimeter. While a gravitational potential above the reference line, it is 15 centimeter. Below it is 10 centimeter. So this determines the how the gravitational potential takes place. See the moisture content in this case, this dot did indicate the moisture content. In metric potential, this dot indicate the motor potential, and in this case also the pressure. So we can say the on weight basis, the increasing the depth below the soil surface is considered to be negative in this illustration. If it is go below that, then it will become the negative in nature. So another important concept in soil water plant relationship, the soil water characteristic curve. When saturated soils are subject to increasing amount of the suction, progressively smaller pores are drained out until at very high suction only the very narrow pores retain water. What means? It means that the soil is saturated first and we are going to increase the suction. Then what is going to happen? Small pores are drained until at very high suction only the very narrow pores retain water. An increase in soil water suction associated with the decreasing thickness of the water film that cover the surface of the particle that determine the soil moisture characteristic. The amount of water remaining in the soil at a series of equilibrium steps related to the size and volume water filled pores and is therefore a function of the matrix suction. So the relation between metric potential changes, one important part, and changes in water content is a complex. So try to understand the relation between metric potential due to the solid material. The change between water potential changes and changes in the water content is a complex in nature, and it is non-linear function. It is not in one line, it is non-linear. And this gives a characteristic curve is called as a, for the individual soils, we can have the different characteristic curves. So these are the, we can say the characteristic curve. If you take the sandy soils, if you take the loam soils, if you do the clay soils, you can see the soil water potential it decreases. This is a y-axis. We have the water content. Here soil water potential is there, and see how soil moisture character depends depending upon the, if you saturate the clay soils and if you remove the moisture content from the suction, then this type of the curve you will get. So this clearly indicate depending upon the type of the soil moisture potential goes on changing. Now, another part is that how soils hold water. So soil hold water in two ways. First part is the thin film or individual soil particles. Second, water stored in the pores of the soil. So on the soil particle, there is a thin film. And second is the most of the water is stored in the pores. The water stored as a thin film of individual soil particles held by the, we can say adsorption. As adsorption, you know, there is an attraction between two dissimilar particles. And due to this, we can, capillary action, same thing happens. Two things are happening in the capillary action also. One is the adsorption, another is the absorption. So absorption means a similar particle, adsorption means dissimilar particles. So adsorption involves complex chemical and physical reaction, but in simple terms, a thin film of water adheres to the outside layer of the soil particles. That gives you the adsorption complex phenomenon in the case of the soil. Water stored in the pores of the soil is stored by capillary forces. So try to understand, whatever the water that is stored in the pores, it is stored by the capillary forces. An example of the capillary force phenomena would be place one end of the glass capillary tube in the pan of the water. You might have seen this experiment. If you take one, we can say the container, and if you fill it with the water, and if you paste the capillary, then it will be show the more we can say water, more level of the water. Just see this figure, you will understand this. Now this is the level of the water in a tube. Now this is the level of the water. But as per the law of the physics, what we are seeing, the water seeks its own level. When in capillary action, you will see that the water is going above the system, means above the level of the water. So here between the side of the capillary and between the water there is adsorption, while between the two molecular there is we can say adhesion. So two phenomena is taking place. One is the adhesion and one is the cohesion. So adhesion means dissimilar, cohesion means similar particle. Water to water attraction is the cohesion, and water to this side of the capillary it is the adhesion. Two phenomena act, it acts in the case of the capillary. Cohesion phenomena also occurs and the adhesion phenomena also occurs. So adsorb water, you can say household water. So you can see it is around the thin film soil particle, and between these two we can have the capillary water. So this capillary indirectly elect that. So soil particles, capillary water, and how adsorb water. This is adsorb water actually we can say the thin film. Okay. So by figure you can understand it. Now another concept that comes under the soil water plant relation is the soil water tension. The ease by which water can be extracted from the soil depends upon the soil water tension. We also call it the soil water potential. So we can have the equivalent values except for the sign negative as well as positive. We can have the either push or pull of the water that indicate the negative side, or we can say the positive concept. So water being held in the pores by the capillary storage is held in the soil at a certain tension. I already explained that too. As the soil dries, the tension becomes larger. More and more tensions is there. It is easier for the plant to extract water being at a lower tensions. It is similar thing like that. If you have the more amount of the money in our bank, if the we go on withdrawing the money from the bank, definitely what is going to happen? The tension is created to the human being. We have this much amount of the money. Now we are drawing and drawing and drawing money. And one day it will come that the balance is low. So that it will create the tension. Similar thing happens in case of the soil also. More and more water is lost, then it creates the tensions. The tension correspondence to the soil water equilibrium points is a good example. We can say that if the soil is saturated, it is held at 0.00 bar, 1 bar. 1 bar tension equal to 1 atmosphere. This is just, we can say the equivalence. It would be easy for the plant to extract water from a saturated soil because water is abundantly available, so that it can be easily taken by the plants. Saturation only lasts for a short time because we know the movement takes place from higher concentration to lower concentration. So small plant extracts a small portion of water above the field capacity. Now field capacity, you know that the moisture is held at 1/3 bar pressure atmosphere. And at this content, it is easy for the plant to extract water from the soil. If it is the field capacity, most of the operations we carry out at the field capacity. The wilting point occurs when the potential of the plant root is balanced by the soil water potential. Thus, plants are unable to absorb water beyond this tension, approximately 15 bars. If the moisture content crosses 15 bar, then the permanent wilting point comes, and after that, even though you supply water, plant is not going to revive. So whatever the available water is there, it exists between field capacity and the permanent wilting point. Soiled water approaches the wilting point exhibit increasing symptoms of water stress such as wilting and leaf senescence. You already seen that leaves are, we can say, dropping from the plant in toward the transpiration. Wilting takes place, and that indicates the plant is going toward the wilting point. Prolonged exposure will result to the plant death. Now, as a reference, we can say the soil water tension own dried soils have approximately 10,000 bars. If you take the soil sample, if you dry it in the oven, and if you determine the water tension, it is 10,000 bars. So soil water retention or soil water characteristic curve, we can see the soil water tension relationship. These curves are slightly different from different types of soil due to different soil texture and structure. We already seen types of the soil changes. We can say the curves also changes. Already discussed regarding the field capacity, the wilting point. If the water that is available for the growth of the plant that exists between field capacity, the water, we can say the available water content. Now, best plant growth and yield of the most field crops occur when the soil water content remains in the upper half of the plant available soil water range, which is sometimes referred to readily as available water. So available water also we can have the different one concept that is called as readily available soil water. So what we are saying about the available water is that water that is available between field capacity and water that is available between permanent wilting point. But one more concept that we are talking nowadays is readily available soil water. What is the readily available soil water? When the water content remains in the upper half of the plant available soil water range, immediately available, that is called as the soil readily available water. We can say the dividing point between available soil water content, the readily available soil water content, we can call it a maximum allowable depletion, or in the simple way, we can call it the MAD, soil water content. For most of the field crops, it is about 50% of the available water. In some scientific crop, it is about 30%. The relation between we can say what is the soil water content, we can see illustrative figure. So these are we can say the figure, different figures, we can say excess water, 100% available water. Between this available and there is a readily available water. So first part is the no available water, 0% available water. Little reserve available water and plant stress, readily available water, 100% and excess water. So same thing you can press on the content of the saturated soil. Saturated soil, field capacity, wilting point, and the own dried means there is no moisture at all. Unsaturated means 100% it is full. Now in between these two, we have the field capacity 1/3 bar, and we have we can say the wilting point 15 bar. So from this content, the tension increases, and it goes into own dry content. And between field capacity and the wilting point, whatever water is available, that is called as available water. So in this case, but again, if you are going to say the 100% available water and little is available, in that case, readily available water is existing. So this indicates the difference between the we can say the available water and the radial level. See the lines, it indicate the in available water also 50%, you can say. If you see the demarcation, you will see the available water is available between 15% of that. Now, another important soil water potential measure is the energy status. I already discussed with you. When we say the soil water potential is nothing but the movement energy. Movement takes place from one place to another place. So already explained that water flows from greater potential area to an area of less potential. So we can either measure by the bar or atmosphere. We can have the soil water potential may be negative or it may be positive. We can call it as a tension. Himani madam, do you I have time? Hello?
Sir, you can continue, sir.
Huh?
You can continue, sir. You can continue for 15 more minutes, sir.
Okay. Just I will just try to finish
The
because
last 5 minutes, you can. So there'll be discussion, sir. So queries can be answered.
okay. So water flows from a greater that is less negative potential to the lesser, more negative potential. So try to understand this concept. Water flows from greater potential to lesser potential, means less negative to more negative side. Plant develop the tension or potential or to move water from the soil into roots and distribute the water through the plant by adjusting the water potential or tension within their plant cells. So it is just like a human body. What happens, whatever the content or changes takes place, just we adapt like that. In the case of the plant also, they adapt the conditions. Water from the soil into roots and distribute the water throughout the plant by adjusting the water potential. If one part is having the less water, then the plant try to we can say save the water. For example, senescence, dropping of the leaves. It indicates the plant want to save the water content of their body. So this indicates the inner adjustment. Water potential is made of the several components. We already discussed regarding the osmotic or solid potential. Solid potential we already discussed regarding the due to the sugars, amino acids or salts of the plants. So another important concept in the soil water plant relationship, for water to move from soil into roots, into stem, into leaves and finally into air, the water potential must always be decreasing. Means the water potential goes on decreasing from the roots to stems to leaves, finally to the air. So we can see the figure also in that case how potential decreases from greater potential to more negative potential. Water potential in air is always low as compared to the plant. So water moves from air through the plants. However, plants are limited in the amount of water adjustment than chemic. We can see the figures just so that you can understand properly. So this is the, we can say the water. If you see the available soil water, it is minus 0.3 bar. If you see the root content, that it is minus 3 bar. And if you see the leaves, it is minus 15 bar. That means it takes place, movement takes place from the root and the potential decreases. So already just this in this case, we will see that just a moment, the movement from soil into roots, into stems, into leaves and finally into air. The potential goes on decreasing. This figure indicates the, we can say, the statement. In the air, it is minus 500 bar. From soil, it is 0.3 bar. Here, it is minus 500 bar. So means it is going on decreasing. Now, how the use of water by the plants? Plant root system must provide a negative tension pressure to extract the water from the ground. The tension must be equivalent to the tension of that hold water in the soil. Same tension should be there so that it can hold the water. For example, if the water in the soil is at 0.3 bar, around field capacity, the plant must provide at least 0.3 bar of negative tension to pull the water from the ground. So we have to maintain the same balance, 0.3 bar in the soil. The plant must have to provide it 0.3 bar to the negative potential so that the water can be pulled from the ground itself. At the wilting point, the maximum negative tension that a plant can provide a balance by soil water tension. The plant can no longer extract water from the soil and will be under severity and permanent wilting. There are several factors that determine when and where the plant uses water and how much water plant will be used. This factor includes daily plant water needed as influenced by climatic conditions and the stage of the growth, plant root growth and depth of the root and the root system and the soil water quality. As the time is very less, many points need to be explained, but I'm completing very hurriedly. Plant water need, already know it is a very general concept that the plant has different water need at different growth stages. While a young plant, it requires less water when it is a production system. As the plant approaches maturity, the water needs drops. We all know very well. Then curves have developed that the daily water need of soil type, crops of the type. Perennial crops such as alfalfa have crop water use curves similar to those in figure 9, except that the crop water use altered. The water use would drop dramatically at the cutting and recover with regrowth, making the water use curve appear in the saw shoot step. So this is the, we can say, just theoretical figuratively we can see the stage of the growth and water use. So the figure indicates itself that the germination, what is the quantity of water that is required. At the vegetative growth stage, it goes on increasing. And when it is the reproductive, more amount of the water is required. And when the plant is moving toward the maturity, the water requirement of the plant goes on reducing, changing. This is the trend in case of the water that is required by the plant. So plant water, we can say the root depth. Plant root depth determine the depth of the water, which soil water can be extracted. Young plant with only shallow root will not have access to the soil water deeper than its rooting depth. Plant typically extract about 40% of their water needs from the top quarter of their root zone, 30% from the next quarter, 20% from the third quarter, and take only 10% from the deepest quarter. 40, 30, 20, and 10. This is the ratio that determine the, we can say, the water taken. So this is, we can say, the percent root depth. 40%, when 30%, and 20%, and the 10%. So this is the depending upon the generalized, actually general crop water extraction. This is from the depth of the root zone, non-layered and unrestricted soil profile. It may change, but this is the, we can say, the percentage. So plant will extract about 70% of their water from the top above of their total roots penetration. Then deeper portion of the root zone can supply higher percentage of the crop water needs if the upper portion largely depleted. However, reliance on the use of deeper water reduces optimum plant growth. So we can have different, we can say, the depth of the penetration and 70% water extraction. So different crops are just examples are given depending upon the type of the crop. It may change from crop to crop. Now see distance from the furrow center and distance from the bottom. Now you see if sandy loam soil is there and clay loam soil is there. If you see the water content, 15 minutes, this is the stage after addition of the water. 40 minutes, this is the stage distance from the water, and 60 minutes. And after 24 hours, this is the in case of the sandy loam soils. Now, if you check the clay loam soil, you will find this in the case of the 4 hours. It will take much more time as compared to the sandy loam. In case of the 24 hours, you can see the movement of the water. It is moving horizontally. And in case of the 48 hours, this is the stages, we can say, this moisture movement of the water takes place. So you can understand how much the types of the soil determine the water availability in case of the different types of the soil. For irrigation scheduling purposes, the total plot is not used. Instead, we can have the 4 feet is recommended. Applying water to deeper depth subjects the irrigation to higher potential of crop. We can say the deeper percolation. Some soil we can have in case of the sandy soil, there are restricted root penetrations so that less water is available. So another important part is the soil and water quality. That is important for the plant system. For a good plant, a soil must have adequate room for water and air movement and for root growth. A soil structure can be altered by certain management practices. So both these practices reduce the amount of the pore space in the soil, reducing the availability of the water and air and reducing the room for root development. The quality of the water is also determine the plant development. So irrigation water with high content of soluble salt is not available to the plant. So greater soil water content must be maintained in the water. Increasing salt content of the water reduces the potential to move water from soil into the roots. So understand, if increasing the salt content, water reduces the potential. If you go on increasing content, salt content, then the potential increases and it will restrict the movement of the water. Some additional water will also be needed to leach the salt below the root crop zone, so that it can be prevented to build up the structure. So poor quality water can affect the structure of the soil. So quality of the important water is very important. We already learned regarding the parameter that required for the quality of the water. So we can pH is there, EC is there, SAR there, and all other residual sodium carbonate is there. All these criteria for scheduling irrigation, or we can say the different quality parameter that is required for the growth of the plant. We have to see whether it is in permissible limit. So we can summarize basic knowledge of the soil plant relationship, make it possible to better management conserve irrigation water. So we can have the soil water holding capacity varies with the soil texture. It's high in medium and fine texture soil, but low as for the sandy soils. Plant root can use only available soil water. The stored water between field capacity and pond wilting point. However, as a general rule, plant growth and yield can be reduced if soil water is in the root zone remains below 50%. Then already we have discussed all these things. The plant trace and yield loss can be occur even with the adequate water in the lower half of the root. Poor irrigation, water quality can reduce the plant ability to take up water and affect the soil structure. This is regarding just. I have very less time, but content need to be explained much more. I just have completed hurriedly because I have already taken 1 hour. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our apologies for giving you all less time. Actually, we gained enormous knowledge on what is the main relationship between how soil accepts the water and how water affects the plant. So
Understood.
before winding up, if anyone is having any queries, it's open for discussion.
Shall I unshare my screen?
Yes, sir. Participants can ask queries directly to sir, or else you can share questions through chat box to us.
Just if you want, if you don't want to discuss right now, you can send mail to me. I have sent mail to Utkarsha madam, so that I can answer details on your mail also, no problem.
Yes, as sir said, sir will be sharing his mail ID. You can ask queries to sir also.
Okay.
अगर आप किसी को सॉयल के बारे में कुछ क्वेश्चंस है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं सर को. Okay, sir. We'll share your mail ID to participants. If they have any queries, they'll send you through email, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for sharing the vast knowledge of soil and water interactions, and also about the soil water potential. What are the different types of potential and how the water movement occurs, and mainly the mechanism of use of water by the plants. So we gained most of the knowledge. Of course, as you said, we gave you very less time to interact with us. We shall have one more session with you, sir. So there's a query. What are the challenges and opportunities for managing soil quality in urban environment?
It is very difficult. No? In urban condition, the question is different. We are talking about the agriculture sector, no?
Yes, sir.
Answer is very vast. For urban conditions, entirely different than from the what we can say the rural conditions. Mostly in case of the urban pollution is there, so we have to reduce the pollution due to the what we say industrial pollution, and that industrial pollution that add nutrient content, or we can say hazardous chemicals to the river, to the wells, and that is creating the much more problems in case of the nutrient uptake, which may leads to the toxicity of the heavy metals. So it becomes very difficult in case of the, because the standard of the living in the urban area and standard of living in the rural area is different. Mostly it is related with this in the managing the soil pollution, managing the air pollution that affects on the growth of the plant. We have to talk in terms of the soil pollution, air pollution, and the water pollution that we need to manage in case of the urban areas.
Yes, yes. Sir. Yes, any other queries? Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving an opportunity to listen to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, all the organizers and Just Agriculture team for providing me to discuss with you. And if you, I'm saying again and again, if you have questions, you can send mail to me so that I can answer very specifically for your questions.
Okay,
Thank
sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So someone have asked a query regarding the training program schedule. So this schedule will be sent through the WhatsApp message. At least the tentative one will be sent. So thank you. A very happy New Year once again to everyone. Thank you to both the speakers for sharing all your knowledge to us. So we shall meet tomorrow at the same time. So we shall start our session, tomorrow's session by 5 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll wind up today's event.
Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.